There he is.
We're back.
We're so fucking back.
We're back, dude. It's been
We,
a while.
we skip 1 week and it feels like a month.
Yeah, man, I've been missing it. I'm glad we're getting a chance to talk today because so much has happened. But yeah, good to connect. Like the
Yeah,
hat.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I got my mempool hat on from the Bird Flip store. So I'm ready to go. And I see you got a new design. You got a Knots, is that a Knots design there?
Yeah, I sort of co-opted their logo and created my own version. But
Open source.
yeah, I looked to see if it was copyright protected. Couldn't find anything conclusive, and I thought, to hell with it. I think Knott's is important right now. It's an important protest vote. So yeah, I'm 100% behind it.
Nice, man. Have you got a lot of interest from that one? I haven't seen any. I don't know if I've seen any promotions from you on that, or maybe I'm just it's not showing up on my timeline.
Yeah, I haven't promoted it too much. I wanted to get it in the mail first and see what it looked like. But yeah, I'm about to throw a free Knott's hat in with every order. So
Love it.
uh, hopefully we'll be getting them into more hands.
Love it, brother. Doing the right thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, what's new for you?
Oh, not I don't know, dude. It's just it all feels like a blur.
It's all Knott's versus core.
Oh yeah, I mean,
That is the debate today, and it has been for several months. But it shows no signs of slowing down until core devs capitulate and listen to the community, in my opinion.
yeah, it's kind of like not as crazy as the block size wars, I wouldn't think, right? Because that was, but I mean, it's a big one, and it is a war. It is definitely a war, and it's really exciting to live through this kind of shit. But I think like whenever we go through these periods where people are just at each other's throats, it just strengthens Bitcoin.
It does. This is good. I would say, as a Knott's guy, that it took me time to come to this conclusion. I was on the fence. I was running the current version of Core on my node, and did not think that this was a big deal. I saw Luke and I saw a mechanic, and they're all talking about the filters being ripped out, and I think the last couple weeks has really crystallized it for me. This is we have to keep Bitcoin the way it was designed.
Bitcoin's got to be money.
It's got to be money. And I think Core has a responsibility to respect what Bitcoin is. And I see them removing the ability to filter out inscriptions and whatnot. Anything over 80 KB, that's an attack on Bitcoin. And they merged it. It's going to get released, and there's nothing that you can do about it other than run knots.
They kind of forced everybody's hands with that, and I've kind of been gradually um, black pilled on core. I just wanted to keep giving them opportunities because if you don't have any sovereignty over your own node and what goes on that, then I mean, what's it all about?
Yeah, what are we doing here? I appreciate that people want to make improvements to Bitcoin. I think we should have those, and I think they should take a long time. And I don't think that the way they're going about it is correct. It's wrong, and it looks like their side is extremely personal when it comes to the attack. And frankly, I haven't seen any justification for what they're doing. For removing this limit on op return, where you can cram a bunch of shit into your transaction that isn't money. And I could see the argument that what some of the Knots proponents, the loudest voices, are claiming could happen might be jumping the shark. Maybe that will never happen, but it already happened.
Sensational, maybe, but
It already did happen. I mean, it's happened already, but thankfully the content is too small and now it's too obscured. But this is what took BSV down. And a lot of those BSVers do not know that they upgraded to the same size op return, 100,000 KBs, 4 megs can fit into a block. And what did they get? They got a bunch of illicit material, which, was really bad for BSV. And, it's like, are we really going to turn Bitcoin into a shit coin?
yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm out on the this kind of like libertarian perspective. I think it's like really idealistic. I don't think it works at scale. At a certain point, you have to say no, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I,
come on, man.
I know I can't
Yeah.
use that word, right? But
We'll bleep it out. But yes, you're right. I mean,
yeah,
that's
you
a
have to,
risk.
you can't be like, well, anyone can use it and we don't have to agree with it. But it's like, actually, I completely reject that at this point in my life. And I think there is such a thing as objective good and objective bad. And you have a responsibility to call that out and act in accordance with that. The same thing with Trump shooting these terrorists out of the water. Oh, it's unconstitutional. I don't really give a shit. Okay. That's the thing. Okay. You're pointing to this piece of paper where it says, see, here's what, meanwhile, they violated our constitutional rights for year over year. For how long? And then they want to kind of pick and choose what they apply it to. No, I completely disagree. I think yeah, you have to take a stand with certain things at a certain point, or else you're just fence sitting your whole life. You're just being like, I don't know, man. I could go either
Yeah.
way. I know,
Yeah.
look, I could see both perspectives. They've got good points. It's like, dude, man the fuck up.
Man up.
And then
Man
take
up,
take a
man.
stand. Holy shit, even if you're on the wrong side, at least just fucking take a stand.
Do it. I 100% agree. And this is what got me off the sidelines, you know? And I think the other thing is they're making it easier. They're making it easier to do this because they're ripping out the ability to put a limit. There's not going to be a limit on the shit that can get crammed in there. And I mean, put your tinfoil hat on, right? And I might regret saying this, but do we live in a future world where Core 30, where they've blown out the opportune, you can put anything you want on the Bitcoin under 4 megs? Do we live in a world where this is happening because a government has cooperated or co-opted a centralized miner who has then co-opted a core dev team in order to put digital ID on Bitcoin's time chain immutable forever? You know, is this how digital ID gets embedded so that your personalized hash is on a transaction that can be referred to, read by any kind of app that's developed that maybe doesn't exist yet, but there's nothing you can do about changing it. What they put into the block is now up for a fee. Anybody can pay the fee to have whatever they want in there. And you know, what we need is adversarial thinking. That's what we need. We need a core dev team that says, here are the threats, let's mitigate them. Instead of, let's just, let anybody do whatever they want because we couldn't do a good job stopping it anyway. The defeatist attitude is is just very shocking and surprising. And yeah, man, knots all the way. I'm not going to stand for it. And hopefully there are more implementations in the future. Samson Mao's talking about building a version of Bitcoin that, and maybe it will have even more aggressive filters.
Well, yeah, listen, I think core, they're all pretty much woke and secular individuals. And I have zero trust for
Yeah,
any of those kinds of people, right?
yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, not to mention there are shitcoiners involved in the
Yeah,
core development. Um, but I mean, man, how do we get to this point? I don't know. Thankfully, we have a response. I saw this morning that over 18.5% of the nodes are running knots,
crazy.
which is a huge signal because there are
Huge.
only 23,000 in the entire world.
It's
So you're
massive.
talking about almost 20% of a tiny fraction of Bitcoiners that run nodes.
Mm.
And, we need more nodes. We need more mining. I mean, we need more decentralization. And if you care about Bitcoin at all, like, hey, this is your chance to stand up and do something.
Yeah, this is the moment. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the debate going away anytime soon. And let's say Core continues to push forward, Core 30 gets released, all this opportune nonsense is now, the standard. I think we're going to see a huge move to knots. I don't think we've even begun to see the nodes move over. We've seen the people who are, in Bitcoin, those are the ones moving over. But I think a lot more people are going to wake up, and there are some very vested interests in Bitcoin who I think would be pretty upset once they understand what's happening here.
I agree with you. I think it'll be a windfall. It's that whole concept of gradually, then suddenly. And what we've seen is, well, it's actually been pretty meteoric, this rise of knots. But I do think there will be certain inflection points, something that like triggers a mass exodus from core to knots. And it's hard to predict what that thing will be. It could just be someone saying something pretty trivial and stupid on stage, at a conference, and it's coming from someone from core, and you're like, whoa. And then that even the smallest thing can just send shockwaves through a hardcore group of folks, right? And I was talking to Tony from the Bitcoin Way uh,
Nice.
just the other night, and he was saying that when he lived through the financial crisis in Lebanon, the thing that set off the financial crisis and the bank run was something that no one would ever guess. Basically, a politician came out and kind of just off the cuff said, "Hey, I think we're going to look at taxing WhatsApp messages because everyone's using WhatsApp in this country, and that could be a source of tax revenue for us." And that was the thing that triggered everybody to start going to the banks and to withdraw their money that wasn't there, and then that just spun out of control. Happened within a day, over the
Yeah.
smallest kind of thing that it wasn't like it was a huge press conference or anything like that. It wasn't some like massive thing that woke people up. It was we're thinking about taxing these WhatsApp messages. So I think it
Yeah.
could be the same kind of thing with the core knots debate right now.
Yeah, we're seeing reputations get absolutely shredded. There are people who were luminaries in the space who have completely missed the signal here. And I'm not sure if you listen to Adam Back or follow him, but a lot of people have noticed that he's been all over the place on this issue.
Back and
He'll
forth.
agree. Oh, yeah, he'll agree on one argument and then he'll disagree the same point on another. And these are people who typically you look to that understand Bitcoin's history, why it was created. I mean, this guy's like one of the original cypherpunks, just a master and a legendary figure, completely shitting the bed
You know what I
when
think
he
it is?
has an opportunity to offer distinction here.
You know what I think it is? I think Marshall McLuhan, who was like a media philosopher kind of guy. He said the medium is the message. And so whatever medium that you're using or consuming content on, that's actually going to dictate the experience entirely. And I think what Adam Back is coming from is like the days of mailing lists, right?
Yeah.
And forums where you weren't just like replying in real time. You were like looking at a question, breaking it all down, writing a whole thing after thoroughly thinking through whatever the matter was, and then posting that. Whereas the medium of Twitter specifically, it's real time, it's fast, it's punchy. So he's kind of like getting caught up in this tornado of flip-flopping on certain things because he's kind of like in real time, maybe just like thinking through it himself, and this is like his forcing function to do that, so he's contradicting himself. And I think that's a regular process of like what I go through when I'm trying to make a decision. Contradicting myself, and I'm going back, and then I'm like, okay, like I figured it out. But he's such a big figure at this point that he really shouldn't be just shooting from the hip and learning in real time in front of everybody because his opinion carries way too much weight. And he's got to recognize that. I mean, from a PR and comm standpoint, I would just say, don't be don't be rash in anything, right? Like you can be silent until you can say, I'm thinking about this, there's a lot to consider, and then come out with like your full thoughts, because it's not
Yeah.
doing you any good.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I think another element that I've seen is, like me, there are many people on X who have put everything they have into Bitcoin. you know. And when you're all in on Bitcoin and you have so much to lose, you can't sit on the sidelines. You can't be wrong about this. You need to understand what's going on and play a part. And I like that, you know. I like that I'm seeing more people who, I mean, I post memes, dude. Like I like laughing, you know. I like being funny. I like creating stuff that like relates to people, how we're feeling, sentiment, you know. That's my typically my goal for opening X is connecting with other plebs through shared sentiment, you know, whether it's price action or who's a retard or whatever. And you know, this has forced me to be more serious than I've probably been in a long time, you know, but it comes down to what is Bitcoin going to be? And it's a fundamental question that, you know, I can't afford to get this wrong. And of course, one person isn't going to change it. But I can be part of a group of people who say no, you know, and man, yeah, I wasn't around for the block size wars. I don't know what it was like, but you know, this is important.
You know, it's interesting because you can kind of understand the evolution of guys like Odell and Matt Kaysen and Marty
Eric,
to an
Eric
extent.
Kaysen.
Eric
Yeah.
Kaysen. When I say Matt,
You were thinking Marty Bent while you were saying Eric Kaysen, but yeah, yeah,
yeah,
the
Eric,
OGs.
you could see like living through the block size wars. At first, it's all fun and games. Then you have to actually get involved and be a serious part of the debate and the change and the direction that Bitcoin is going to go in. And that definitely um, it it radicalizes you.
Yeah, it does, man. But
And
you
no
have to,
nonsense. You're like, fuck you. Like,
that's right.
to a certain
Yeah.
group of people that are already radicalized, by the way.
It's a kid point, but you're right. I mean, I look at nuts as, you know, nuts is the fuck you code. And hopefully, you know, maybe we'll get stricter on the filters. I don't know what'll happen, but I think a good solution would be if Core just says, all right, we're gonna slow down and we're not gonna push forward this update and we're gonna leave the 80 kilobyte limit where it is. Because you
I
can
don't think they're
jam a
going
bunch.
to do that.
I don't think so either, but you can jam a bunch of shit into 80 kilobytes, you know? And if we keep core as it is today, that's a win, you know, and we can solve this problem later, but I think the forces are way too big and they're way too behind the curtain. Like somebody is pushing for this. And, you know, I put my tinfoil hat on and my conspiracy hat, but this is not organic. This is not a user or a miner problem. It's a centralized miner problem, you know, but we don't want to enable centralized mining. We want decentralized mining.
We need a really good investigative reporter to be looking at all of it to follow the money. That's what we really need.
Scott Hansen.
Yeah, Scott Hansen. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. That was it's important to keep talking about this type of stuff, because it's really critical.
Yeah, and it'd be more fun to just go back to shit posting and making memes. And you know, we'll get there. We'll get there. This will all be behind us. Bitcoin will continue. Um, but you know, right now it's like embrace the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how do we think about the price? I mean, it's 110 now. The last 7 days, I just feel like we've been here for a while at this point.
Yeah, so my thought, I don't mind it because I think we're gonna get some of those big numbers as we move into the back half of the year. You know, I think we'll see rate cuts. Inflation data looks pretty bad. Employment data looks pretty bad. Credit card defaults are on the rise. You know, home prices are still moving up and home sales are down. So there are a lot of red flashing lights in the economy. And I don't think the Fed has really many options. So I think a rate cut's bumped is already baked in. So that means I'm just thinking out loud, but that means big numbers, obviously. Any 80 IQ pleb could tell you that. But something I heard Check on Chain say today is 50% of Bitcoin owners today, 50%, half purchased at 95K or above.
Wow.
So if, and I trust him to be correct because he's on point.
Wow.
That means the floor is 95. So, you know, this 110 is a launch pad.
That's surprising to me. 50%.
Half the coins, dude. That means a ton of people sold and a ton of people bought
I'd
this
really
year.
like to see the movement of that, right? That because
Yeah.
that's interesting data.
Yeah. Half of the coins are at 95K. I mean, it means a lot of almost everybody's in profit unless you bought the top, like for the one day that it was at the top at
Good job.
124.
Yeah.
You know, you probably got some at, 117 and whatever, 113 and 112. And maybe you're thinking, yeah, I'm down a little bit, but it would be a good time to be adding more.
I want this price range for as long as we can get it. I want to keep getting paid in Bitcoin when it's, at this range. I mean, the longer the better for me. This is a long game, man. I'm not like I'm not thinking about what my life's like in like 6 months, you know? I'm thinking 6 years, 10 years.
Yeah, but it would be nice if in 6 months we were at 500,000.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that. And I do think we end this year higher, actually.
Yeah, I think 180, 200, easy.
Yeah, we're due for a good rip. I mean, this is like when you get to this point where Bitcoin kind of lulls you and you're like, oh, it's maybe the bear market, sentiment's dipping, and then it's like, face melting rip up and to the right.
Yeah, we're all ready for it. Everybody's waiting for it. I see people excited about MicroStrategy potentially getting included in the S&P 500 tomorrow. Personally, I think it ain't happening,
Yeah, I could
but
care fucking less about these Bitcoin treasury companies, dude. It's just such a grip. Like, I mean, MicroStrategy's added. I mean, they've got 3% of the right, the Bitcoin
yeah, of all the
and of
Bitcoin,
the
dude.
supply of all the Bitcoin, and the stock is basically halved, right? Down.
Yeah, this year has been absolute
And so how
awful.
does that, accretive
Doesn't-
dilution, whatever, whatever. But like, I just like, dude, buy the fucking thing that the Bitcoin treasury companies are buying. Avoid the Nakamoto. Nakamoto's down 80%, you know. It's just such a grift, man. It's such a shitcoin grift. Just buy the thing that they're buying, Like stop playing. You're just trading this other shitcoin casino for like a rebranded shitcoin casino. Like that's all it is. You're
Yeah,
not a Bitcoiner if you're buying Bitcoin treasury companies. You're just not.
yeah, rebranded shitcoin casino on Bitcoin. You
Yeah,
know, I,
it's not.
yeah, goodness, the thing is, like, you never stop learning, right? And you can play. I don't have any MicroStrategy. I did at one point. I don't. And I just because of that, like, I want more Bitcoin. I don't want anything else.
Yeah, I didn't ever never bought any of it. I don't have a 401k or anything like that. So I was like, eh. And I did buy GameStop at the Pico top. Not a lot, just like 500. I was like, whatever, 500.
I mean, when was that though? Was that like 3 years ago? I think you could be forgiven for that.
When I bought GameStop, no, dude, that
Yeah.
when they were talking about putting Bitcoin on the treasury.
Oh, you bought it this year.
Yeah, I bought it this year. Just
Oh
like
man, they fumbled the bag on that. Like the lesson there is, you go into Bitcoin and you go in hard and you go in with everything you got. Otherwise, the signal is weak.
every now and then you kind of touch the stove again. You're like, whoa, what the fuck was I thinking? I knew that
Dude,
was.
nobody's perfect,
I
man.
just
I
tried
don't
to
fault you.
think. How hot was it? Was it warm? Was it, scalding hot?
Yeah, I don't fault you for that. I think, we're watching all this unfold and you just got to remember to stack sats.
Should we stack? That's a good segue, Greer.
Let's do it. All right. We're at 110 today. I'm going to buy my usual $21.
Yeah, buying 21.
This is good, man. This feels good. I'll tell you what, though, I have been earning Bitcoin on my bird flip store.
Love that, brother.
Yeah, I'm getting orders daily and it's freaking amazing.
River.
I'm still authenticating. There it goes.
You know what I'm doing now in River as well? I'm earning Bitcoin back on some of my cash reserves. I just have the cash reserves for like taxes and stuff,
Yeah.
Because I got fucked for a few years running, putting everything into Bitcoin and like not wanting to sell it and not selling it and then just like scraping by and like, going into some debt to pay for those taxes and then paying that off over time. And I'm like, I don't want to have to do that again, So
Ah, so
I'm putting
tough.
aside some cash for taxes this year. It pains me, but it makes me feel a little better that those cash reserves are sitting in River and I'm earning 3.8% in Bitcoin back every day, paid out every day. So
I
that,
mean, that's a good way to put a silver lining on it.
yeah, 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 I
Yeah,
know.
it's tough, man. I mean, the pleb life, right? We are all just gripping onto Bitcoin, hoping that it sets us free before the bills come due, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
And like that is what does it mean to be a pleb? It means like drinking a shitload of hopium every day. Today's the day we go to the moon. But just
yeah.
one more.
Imagine telling your friends like, "Oh man, I'm not in a position to pay these taxes," and then it's like that Joker meme, like, "Oh, you wouldn't understand."
You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't get it.
Oh, these are the good old days, man. These are the good old days, I think. Even
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like if you look at what's happening, you've got Steak and Shake accepting Bitcoin, you've got Sheetz gas station accepting Bitcoin, you've
oh,
got
sheets.
yeah, you've got more people thinking about it, talking about it, I think it's building and it's becoming part of the economy. And I think, zoom out 5 years from now, we've got your digital stablecoin Fed dollar, whatever that looks like, and then you've got Bitcoin, and that's it. That's the future. You get paid in your stablecoin, Tether, USDC, World Life, whatever Trump coin, whatever. They're going to give you some garbage token to spend, and then you've got Bitcoin on the side for your savings, and that'll probably be the next thing we talk about
Yeah.
for like years. That's what it'll be until Bitcoin's the only thing.
And it's already a part of the culture. I mean, you just see it catching on in the culture. Like, what's the movie? It's Eddington. It's a new movie that came out with Joaquin Phoenix and that this guy I hate, Pedro Pascal. Yeah, I hate that guy. But it was actually a decent movie. There were some good moments, but a few times throughout the movie they actually mentioned Bitcoin. Like
Oh, nice.
the one cop is like really into it and he's always like listening to it and talking about it and stuff. And he's putting up a sign about how Bitcoin is, global permissionless money. And like the messaging of that was on point, right?
Heck yeah.
And then just the other night, my wife and I were watching The Terminal List.
Oh yeah, with Chris Pratt. Yeah.
Yeah, this the whatever the first or the second season, which is like the prequel to it. And
Hmm.
they were talking about they said like cryptocurrency, right? But like it wasn't, years past I would have heard that. I'd be like, whoa, like they said crypto, like they're kind of like and then but it was just like in passing and it wasn't even a big deal. It's just a part of it. And I think multiple times it's been mentioned. And it's like it's becoming just like, oh yeah, like that's just a part of culture and society now. It's just like this thing that's not going away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going away. It's not going away, that's for sure. But you're right. It's exciting when you hear that stuff in real life, out of the X bubble where all the toxic maxis live,
Yeah, absolutely.
myself included.
It makes me think like where's the Bitcoiner, right? Where are the Bitcoiners that are writing that stuff? Who are
Hmm.
they?
Yeah, dude, they're embedded.
I don't think they're on Twitter.
No, I think that it's becoming so normal that they're everywhere and they're nowhere. I mean, it's kind of maybe that sounds corny, but
They're everywhere and they're nowhere.
they're everywhere and nowhere. They only travel by night.
Like the Navy SEALs.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing better than like sending and receiving a Bitcoin transaction though. I think that would get more people into it if they actually start using it. Like use the Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think, the future looks everything's abstracted away. You're not even going to know it. You'll be you know, um, probably you'd be using stable coins, unfortunately, paying for that, but it's going over Bitcoin, something like that. There's going to be a lot of it abstracting away from this, where I don't know, like we're so passionate about it because we've gotten hands-on with it and we've sent and received transactions and seen the magic of that, but we're still like we're so early and involved in this thing that I think like 10 years from now when people are using Bitcoin, they're really not even gonna know it, right? Because they're not going to be using the base layer of it.
Hmm. Yeah, L2s. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
can see it happening. I can't really argue with that. I think it's a good idea. Sure. I think more people should know about it. That's my only problem.
for sure. Yeah.
Um, it's just so cool. I mean, studying the difficulty adjustment, genius. You're going to buy stuff and not think about that, I guess.
Hmm.